Hallo zusammen. Today we're gonna take a closer look at Umf's new song Wem die Stunde schlägt. Let's analyze the German lyrics. I'm gonna explain a few interesting facts about them linguistically and also what they mean in English. So let's go. You may ask yourselves, why comeback? I didn't know the band vanished into thin air. Well, you're right. But still, I reckon it is a comeback for the band, because Wem die Stunde schlägt is the first single with their new singer, Der Schulz. In late 2021, the band and former singer Dero announced that they would part ways. After quite a few months of uncertainty about a new singer, the band presented Der Schulz as their new vocalist in June of 2023, along with the announcement of a new album, Richter und Henker, Judge and Executioner, and the album's lead single Wem die Stunde schlägt. Der Schulz is not a newcomer in the scene by any means, though. I wasn't aware of him and his other still coexisting band Unzucht, Die Unzucht, Fornication, before the announcement, so with fresh ears I listened to a few songs of that band, and I immediately thought he would be a great fit vocally. He's definitely not a Dero copycat, but he has sort of a loosely similar vibe to him and fits the band's overall established aesthetic, while adding a new flavor, both vocally and also as the new lyricist. So let's dive into the lyrics of this song, which imagery they evoke in me, and how I interpret them. You could say that the song's German title pays tribute to Metallica and their song For Whom the Bell Tolls, since that would be the English equivalent. Translated literally though, Wem die Stunde schlägt means whom the hour rings, bells or tolls, for die Stunde, singular, die Stunden, plural, the hour. Intriguing title on its own if you ask me, and it definitely evokes a sense of tension. For whom does the bell toll and why? The song begins with the first verse. Die Totgesagten, die längst Gesalbten, sie grüßen dich, doch sterben nicht. Die Diffamierten, die Schikanierten, der Krug erhält, bis dass er bricht. Diese Gedanken und ihre Schranken, zu kurze Sicht, sie hilft dir nicht. Alles verloren, nicht auserkoren. Jüngstes Gericht, verzweifelt nicht. I guess you could argue that these lyrics are quite cryptic and abstract maybe, thought-provoking, but I think in a positive way. I personally enjoy lyrics like that. Lyrics that make you think, lyrics that aren't really, in your face, direct and obvious. I definitely enjoy this approach. Linguistically, the word die Totgesagten is a good example of an interesting yet not daily German noun. Literally, it translates to the ones who are said to be dead. People who, in the eyes of others, are considered dead in a metaphoric way, not literally. Maybe because they committed a crime, or generally speaking because they did something that offended the other side, and therefore they ghost them, ignore them, basically as if they were dead, as an outcast. The second part of this line builds up on that idea, the long anointed ones. It's an interesting expression since anointing someone could also be seen as something rather positive. A person is declared a saint and therefore gets anointed, or a person has passed away and they get anointed before they are buried. I sort of think in this context it could also be seen as a rather negative metaphor though. They got anointed long ago, in the sense of they got labeled something long ago. People others have made up their minds about long ago. They've categorized them, labeled them, and those anointed, the labeled ones, are somewhat bound to that label, come whatever may. They can't do anything about it. In that sense, I guess it goes to show how much more, yet maybe wrongfully, simplified one's own life and worldview can be once you label someone a certain way, and how easy it becomes to not deal with other people, other opinions anymore because of that label. Once again, the idea of the outcasts, the untouchables, or as some people may say these days, the cancelled ones. The somewhat ironic point to all this is that both sides, the labelers and the labeled people, can make use of this psychological device, this labeling tool, which once again goes to show how easy yet effective this behavior is. And as line 2 suggests, apparently the ones who are said to be dead are still around. I like how the verse makes use of quite a few visual metaphorical expressions with thought-provoking nouns, such as the aforementioned die Totgesagten, the ones who are said to be dead, or die Gesalbten, the anointed ones, but also die Diffamierten, the defamed ones, and die Schikanierten, the harassed ones. The whole verse seems to focus on problematic, difficult circumstances, with the 7th line being the climax. Alles verloren, implying alles ist verloren, an elliptic phrase, all lost, all is lost. The last line could be misunderstood in the English version in a way. It's not the lyrical I saying to the Judgment Day, "Hey, Judgment Day, please don't despair," but the verzweifelt nicht, do not despair, rather means that the lyrical I addresses other people. Maybe in the sense of, Judgment Day is nigh, truth will come out, so please guys do not despair. So maybe the lyrical I is speaking to the outcasts, the labeled ones. Well, it's quite unclear if the lyrical I, the person telling the story, is part of those outcasts, for instance, or if it's just an observer from outside. Maybe it's an observer at first, but then it joins one side? Or maybe the lyrical I also serves as a judge? Maybe we'll find out more in the chorus. Wem die Stunde schlägt, sollte bereit sein. Erst wenn nichts mehr geht, wird es vorbei sein. Tot gesagt, doch stehen noch. Verdammt! Wir leben immer noch! This chorus sort of classifies what the last line of verse 1 already suggested. The lyrical I may be on the side of the labeled people, the outcasts. And the chorus almost seems to serve as a motivational speech. Yes, we are in a difficult situation and difficult circumstances, but we know we are in the right. And we should remember that we can still do something and fight back. We are not dead, we are alive, we are here, we are not defeated. Linguistically, once more, the first line makes use of an elliptic structure in the second half, since it's missing the expected article that correlates with the dative singular form of wer, who, wem, whom. I guess if you wanted to interpret the lyrics in a very zeitgeist-like way, they may touch on many difficult, often global situations such as wars, very fast and sudden changes in technology and how they impact life and different societies. For instance, the rise of AI with the possibility of losing control over it at some point, and what that may lead to, climate change and the like. A very interesting choice of topic, I think, in general, because you can definitely interpret these lyrics in many ways, and you can also interpret them in the context of current events, for instance. So I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but then again, is there a right or wrong in the first place when it comes to art and lyricism? Isn't that the beauty of art, that you can actually interpret in different ways? And maybe even in ways that the lyricist, in this case Der Schulz, hasn't intended the song, hasn't really thought of while he wrote the lyrics, you know, that's also possible. Let's find out how the second verse may fit in with this perspective. Die dunklen Stunden, die alten Wunden, weit außer Sicht, im neuen Licht. Die bösen Zungen, die nichts gefunden, beklagen sich ganz bitterlich. Zu Kreuze kriechen, dahin zu siechen, der Sündenfall, Doppelmoral. Der Gegenwind trägt gestutzte Flügel, ein letztes Mal, weit übers Tal. Linguistically, the second verse continues mentioning religious symbolism and Christian wordings such as Kreuze for das Kreuz, singular, die Kreuze, plural, the cross or crucifix, or der Sündenfall, literally the sin fall, referencing to bite the apple in paradise. I get the impression that this second verse could be seen as a shift in dynamic or perspective even. Now, the outcasts talk about the labelers, if you will, and by doing so, they ironically also make use of the same tools. This also gets addressed in line 6 with the use of the noun die Doppelmoral, double standards. So, in a way, this verse continues mentioning moral labels, but this time maybe from the opposite perspective, the opposite side, the outcasts labeling the labelers, and making them the outcasts in their eyes. A good example is line 3, die bösen Zungen, for die Zunge, singular, die Zungen, plural, the tongue, and böse, evil. Böse Zungen, evil tongues, in the sense of people who enjoy bad-mouthing others, coming up with claims and to express criticism in a quite direct, cynical way. It may also refer to the German saying, wer laut ist, hat recht. Who is loud is in the right. Which of course is not true, but some people, well, they seem to make use of this in conflicts. However, as much as they see themselves in the right, they talk about assumptions or often don't seem to have many arguments in their favor. Die bösen Zungen, die nichts gefunden. In the sense of die nichts gefunden haben. They haven't found anything. Implying having no real arguments or plausible reasons for their opinions and basically making stuff up. Fake news, alternative truths and whatnot. The labelers, no matter which ones, try hard, but they fly with clipped wings. They have gestutzte Flügel in line 7, which may express that they know they are using lies, they are aware of that, but they consciously and actively use them as tools. The bridge almost serves as a beacon of hope, if you will, It boosts self-confidence and the trust in oneself, and linguistically it manages to do that by using a direct form of address. Du, you, addressing an outcast, a person from that group. Solange dein Herz noch schlägt, kannst du auch frei sein. Die Zeit vergeht, die Welt, sie dreht sich immer noch. Solange die Hoffnung lebt, wird nichts vorbei sein. Du wirst bestehen. Die Welt, sie dreht sich immer noch. Sie dreht sich noch. It seems to be all about die Hoffnung, hope, and remembering that you have a heart, das Herz. Maybe also implying believe your intuition, feelings and emotions. So, in a very general way, the song may express even if times are tough, society, morals and the goodwill seem to die, you can and have to remain optimistic and make the best out of it. And even though you could easily interpret it in the light of current worldwide events, it also works as a timeless expression of the struggle and how important it is to overcome it, to step out of the dark, to make up your own mind, as opposed to listen to others who basically declare your own opinion and therefore, in a way, you as a person invalid. And it also encourages you to believe in die Selbstwirksamkeit, in the sense of your actions do make a difference. They matter because you matter. But of course, you could also interpret this song in a completely different way. You could see it in a way more positive light, but you could also see it in a more sinister, ambiguous way. Still fascinating, but also a bit sad maybe. Or, to come full circle, and referencing Metallica once again, as something that may be sad but true. I would like to congratulate both the band and the singer Der Schulz for collaborating, for becoming a new unit, for joining forces, and for trying out something new a little bit, while still keeping the band's DNA intact. Feel free to tell me in the comments what do you think about my interpretation, and how would you interpret this song? Definitely see you next time. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.